manufacturing engineer, and I'm a current master's student in material science engineering at Japan University of Science and Technology. I'm a Ghanaian.
I salute you all. I'm Cath pursuing a master's degree in biotechnology at EJUST. I'm a Uganda. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being with us here, the three of you. We'll go ahead directly. Me, Abdelkarim Ibrahim from Sudan. I don't know what to say more about the Pan-Africanism and African culture because the previous speakers actually did an amazing job. I've just finished an amazing job talking about these two very important aspects of Africa. But for me, I'll try to go with you directly to the point as we are youth and young people looking for better life, better Africa, and everyone is looking for good things in life. We are educated here and we are studying so far, but what about those who are down there, they're not educated African people? So how could we actually go down to these people and take them to help in the Africa that we want? This is the first point. If you don't mind, who can go first? Try to tell us about how can we go down to these people who are not actually, directly seeing what's going on. And they don't know even about the point of being, the Africa that we want, unity and unified people. And this point, how can we go forward to this? How can we actually try to work on that point? Who can go first to say, okay, who goes?
Okay. About this subject, I think, in my opinion, it's not that every time you are going to contribute to a certain concept, you must be educated. I think on the African and the Pan-Africanism concept, every person has a role to play. Wherever you are, whichever part you are, you can do something. Because I don't think, because like the previous speakers and the past sessions we've had, we've seen that the culture, it's all about the culture and the mindset. So however much per se, even if you are in the farthest place, in the most remote village, you can still do something. Because everyone in whatever capacity you are, whether you're educated, whether you're not educated, you can still do something to push to the next step. Thank you.
To add a little, I will begin with the question that Engineer Job Lazarus put as soon as he mounted the podium. The question was, if we were not, or if I were not an African, would I have ever wished to be one? We were all quiet. But I tell you, about 90% of us here would have said no. True or false? How many of us here, raising my hands, and would always be proud that we are Africans? So, by my estimation, about 40% wish they are still Africans, and 60% wish they are not. The answer as well. Yes, and I would say these are the sincere people among us. True. Africa, per my definition, we say people who like to complain a lot. We all like to complain. We don't want to accept what the situation is. And as Joe Blazo said, that we are always thinking that the only solution to our problem is our leaders. Okay, taking my life as an example, when I completed my BSc, I was struggling with getting into the higher education. I applied for 10 universities. I had about 7 of them, but because of the COVID situation, I couldn't go. Time was running. I needed to do something. I had to go down. The person that I was a teaching assistant at the university, go down to the point of setting up something. I became a pig farmer. because I needed to engage with other people, those who didn't have the opportunity to go to school, engage with them to start up doing something. So the answer to your question, we need to go down. Even when we are not getting the opportunity, our expectation, the complaining is enough. I was asking myself, this Pan-African discussion, when was it started? In the days of Kwame. How many years now? Until when are we going to continue discussing about this Pan-Africanism? When are we going to? We are always talking about Pan-Africanism. The aspect of it is that those who are very eloquent are able to mount the podiums, bring up ideas, speak loudly, they go out into our various countries and end up becoming politicians, having occupied a higher position. And what did they do? They forget about all this Pan-Africanism. And the cycle continues. So are we deceiving ourselves? Are we going to continue blaming the whites? No, if you know your position, you don't need another person to define what your position is. If I know I'm sitting here, I don't need any definition by someone to define the 3 coordinates that I'm occupying here. No. So we need to accept that yes, the Westerners are far advanced than us. But with the little we have, what are we going to do to maximize it to the benefit of those who didn't have the opportunity that we are enjoying now? Thank you.
That's wonderful. Would you like to go for more point?
Thank you very much. As the previous speaker have said, ideology or mindset is the first thing to change, because however much you do things or better things to the community minus changing the mindset, then you are doing nothing. Because you will do great things, but at the end of it all, the great things you have done, they will be destroyed by the ignorant people, because they don't have the vision. They don't know why you struggle to do such. So, leaders of the mighty Africa should struggle a lot to change the mindset of the people. You say, we have gone to school, right? There are people who are unable to go to school. But I would like to tell you that our great-grandfathers or parents, they never accessed maybe this education we are accessing. But Paul said that anything done without love, then it is nothing. If we become leaders of Africans without the love for the Africans, then we are doing nothing. For whatever we are building on disunity. It has no strong foundation. But if we do anything we are doing with the love of Africa, changing the mindset and being examples, not being leaders, when we are rising up and after gaining positions, we become politicians, it's quite overwhelming and makes us shed tears. So therefore, I would like to say, become great leaders as you're rising. Speak loud. Don't speak loud so that we know that you're speaking a lot, but what you do, become examples to the community, build the nations in an exemplary way, and ensure that the people are able to protect what you have put across. I will again say that Chinese, they are now teaching us their language. It means they love their language, they love themselves. But instead for us, we are proud when we move out and we move out of school, speaking good English, even forgetting our mother tongue. but we can do nothing but just speak English. But I call upon all of us that when we gain knowledge, let us apply it. And when we apply it, let it change the communities so that we become better than the way we were. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. These are very beautiful points of you guys here. I do appreciate it. Let me take you to a point, as long as talking about change and talking about better Africa and united Africa. So in my hometown, people are trying, not only my hometown, in all over Africa, young people and educated people, or even those who are just active African young people, trying to change, trying to, because we are experiencing or we're seeing what's going on in the world. People are going ahead. The whole world is going fast. We, the African people, are not. So we as young people are trying our best to do this, but we are not able to do that. You know, these points, like right now I'm talking right here, yesterday or before yesterday, my people in my home are killed because they're looking for a better life. So how could you guys tell me that we can go to a better life and we have these people in terror are trying not to give us opportunity? We are only looking for better life. We're not looking for positions. Young people are not looking for positions. And you all know this right here. We're not looking for positions. We are all looking for a better life. For all of us. Not for our own lives or for personal interest. Like now I see the African young people are open to the world and they want to have a prosperous life, a decent life, but we're faced by our own people, our own grandmothers, fathers, our people. They're shooting us because we're just talking about having a better life. How can you guys talk about this point? How can you say the point of African unity, Africanism, having one unity, having the better Africa, and our own life, our own people are stopping us from doing this. So how can we actually go forward to do this? Everyone is scared to go and talk, because if you talk for right things, you don't know what's going to happen. So let's speak honestly, as all of us here, young people, are all looking for better Africa. We need to speak the truth. We need to face the realities. We need a real change. As you said, we have been talking for long, but we need action. We've had enough. We've listened to many speeches, many leaders were saying a lot of things about change, better Africa, but where? Where is this better Africa? For how long? For me personally, I get sick and tired of listening to this. But I need something. I need to see something on the ground. I need a better life. Why we're not interested in Africa, that's one of the points came up. Like the other people are interested in Africa and we're not. Because our people are open to those who are coming from outside, but rejecting us. Our leaders accepting those who come from outside because they actually fill their pockets. But for us, no opportunities. For us, no chances to go ahead and to develop our own countries. So what did you say, guys, about this point? I'm not talking politically, but it's about Africa. It's about us, all of us, even the leaders, even the son of leaders, the daughters of leaders, the politicians, all of us can live in a beautiful life. As you all know and agree that Africa is one of the richest continents in the world. It's one of the most beautiful lands. So how could you guys face all of this? Who can go first?
I always like to answer questions with questions. Where are you from? Sudan, right? Yeah. You are staying. I presume you are staying currently in. Where are you staying? Where are you right now? Yeah. I'm talking about your Sakan. That's right? Yeah. I'm from Egypt, and I couldn't have come here without a means of transportation. Something actually took me here. I couldn't have disappeared, and I appeared here. So something definitely brought me here. Why am I saying this? The leaders that we are seeing them as demons, who actually project them. The destiny changes that we are expecting, who actually place those destiny changes there.
So how can we have this Pan-Africanism or United Africa in such a kind of circumstance?
Yes, I'm giving a typical example. I like to give examples and bring it to our setting. So we are in a realm that's, let's say, in the political season, or when it is time for elections. These big men will come around distributing rice, meat, matchsticks, luring you to vote for them. Thinking that, oh yes, giving you cash, and you fall into the trap. After voting for them, do you still expect them to do their responsibilities? No. So the answer to the question is, we cannot always be blaming them. We have to check ourselves. So it is about time we change our paradigm, our faculty of thinking. How we have always been doing stuff. Yeah.
It's about us, it's not about them.
No, not totally. We are also
Okay. My opinion about this point is that the leaders we put in place, for example, through the so-called voting, because like he has
They don't come to voting.
some, because what you give in is what you're supposed to get back. That is like the concept of giving and receiving. So most people now, like the countries which you go for voting per se, you find a leader comes in because of bribing and maybe malpractice in the voting process. So if somebody comes in through this process, it means even through during his time, there will be a portion of people who will not be convinced by these persons.
Thank you so much. All protocol observed. I'm Norbert Onen II from Egypt, Japan University of Science and Technology. My question goes to this panelist. We as Africans, we have copied everything that is pro-white, and that to me is very dangerous. For example, among the Luo community around the world, the Luo occupies Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and a few other countries. We have what we call the local justice system, which is pro-reconciliation. And for us, we have gone ahead to copy the justice system of the whites, which is more on inflicting punishment to the culprits. It does not end with reconciliation. How best can we do this to go back to the justice system, or to go back to the values that are important and that foster unity and foster the Ubuntu spirit that you people are talking about? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We got this question. Thank you so much. It's about the justice system in Africa, I guess that's the point. Anyone want to go ahead?
Okay, thank you so much for a wonderful question. I think you began with a point of saying the Africans were copying the Western way of doing things, in particular like justice. I think when we are learning, or when we are transferring something from one system to the other, I think for us Africans it's better not to do the copy and pasting way of doing things. We should, if we have copied something, per se, I don't want to call it copying, because copying means just moving from one position and taking to another position. It's better we learn something from the system, we tune it towards the needs of our system, because we also have, before we get this, the European way of justice, we already have a way of handling such scenarios when they happen. So I think it's better to get this system and then we blend it with our standards, and then we see what is best for us rather than just copying and pasting.